My parents spent their lives being understanding of everyone but me. My dad supported his younger brother, Uncle Rob. My mom supported hers, Uncle Mike. Bailouts for failed businesses, tuition for private schools. Every dollar was a one-way street. To everyone else, they were the generous older brother and the devoted older sister. And I, their only son, was forced to be the understanding one. That all ended the first time I brought my girlfriend home. They had a surprise for me. They'd taken the $750,000 buyout from the city for our old house and bought new homes for my two cousins, free and clear. There wasn't a penny left. "You're a Stanford man," they told me. "You've got a future. You don't need it." I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. The next month, when the police showed up at my door, I decided it was my turn to give them a surprise. When I pushed open the front door, I wasn't prepared for the chaos inside. Boxes, junk, and flattened cardboard were piled everywhere. It looked like they were in the middle of a frantic move. A month ago, I had told my parents that today was the day I was bringing my girlfriend, Eleanor Vance, home to meet them. I had been in love with Ellie for 10 years. She had spent weeks picking out the perfect gifts for them. But I never imagined the house would look like this. There was no welcome, no preparation, not even the most basic tidying up. I apologized and asked Ellie to wait in the living room, then turned to find my parents. I heard their excited voices coming from their bedroom before I even reached the door. Now that the buyout money has bought the boys their houses, their futures are settled. We can finally relax. I know. I'll finally be able to sleep at night. Do you think Stephen will be upset when he finds out? What's there to be upset about? He's a Stanford man. He's got a future. He doesn't need it. Besides, we did it for his own good. Once his cousins are settled, they'll be in a position to help him out down the line. You're right. We're all family, after all. I stood frozen at their door, my hand raised to knock. I let it fall. After a moment, I knocked. The door opened. When my mom saw me, her smile faltered for a second before snapping back into place. "You're back. Where's your girlfriend?" "In the living room," I said. A terrible feeling started to bloom in my chest. "What were you just saying about the buyout money?" The air went still. My mom's smile froze completely. My dad cleared his throat. "Oh, that," he said, his tone matter of fact. "Your cousin Jake is getting married, and Kevin is at that age. Your mother and I discussed it and decided to use the buyout to get them each a house." He said it so casually, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "How much?" I heard my own voice, unnervingly calm. "The full $750," my mom added. $375 each. We couldn't play favorites. They're family. Family. I repeated the word in my head and let out a short, bitter laugh. "So what about me?" My dad blinked. Then his face settled into a look of paternal wisdom. "Stephen, with your talent, you can earn anything you want in this world." My mom chimed in, her eyes shining with pride. "He's right. Your cousins are just regular working guys. If we didn't help them, they'd never be able to afford a home. You're different. You're a Stanford man." That pride felt like a shard of glass in my eye. I just stood there, looking at the two people who had raised me for 22 years, and felt like I was staring at strangers. No, that wasn't right. They hadn't been strangers for a while. It was just that in this moment, I was finally done lying to myself. I looked down, and after a long silence, a low laugh escaped my lips. I thought I was past being disappointed in them, but a bitter chill was seeping into my bones. I should have seen it coming. For as long as I can remember, this family was never really mine. When I was 5, Uncle Rob's business failed, and he owed $30,000 to a loan shark. The guy showed up at our house, threatening to break his legs. My dad emptied our savings account that night and borrowed from anyone who would listen to pay it off. When I was 7, Uncle Mike got divorced. He said he needed money to fight for custody of my cousin. My mom gave him every penny she'd just managed to save. When I was 8, Jake and Kevin needed to go to a private elementary school. "He's my only brother. I have to help," my dad said. "The kid's education is everything." They sold anything of value in the house. They even took the money from my piggy bank. When I was 11, I tested into the best middle school in the city. The tuition, room, and board was over $20,000 a year. My parents hemmed and hawed for a month before finally asking Uncle Rob and Uncle Mike for a loan. Both said money was tight. A day later, Jake and Kevin were posting pictures on Instagram with the newest iPhones. I thought my life was over. I couldn't stop thinking, what did I do wrong to deserve parents like this? I seriously started to wonder if I was adopted. How else could I always be the last priority? So, the first money I ever earned from a real job went to a DNA test. Unfortunately, I was their one and only biological son. That was the first time the word biological felt like a curse. I was at my wit's end when the phone rang. I had been selected as a recipient of the Eleanor Foundation grant. It would cover my entire education all the way through college. The Vance family, the wealthiest in the city, had established the charity. Their daughter, Eleanor Vance, had a chronic illness and had used a wheelchair for most of her life. Her parents started the foundation in her name, hoping the good deeds would bring her good fortune, and they were famously rigorous about vetting candidates. I had applied without any real hope. My parents were alive and together. Compared to orphans or kids from single-parent homes, my situation wasn't the most dire, but they investigated every applicant thoroughly. When they learned about my circumstances, they made an exception. My academic record earned me even more support. From that year on, I added a new wish to my list every day. I hope Eleanor Vance is healthy. I hope Eleanor Vance is happy. I hope one day Eleanor Vance can walk again. Day after day of watching from afar and wishing her well, my gratitude grew into something more. When you're trapped in darkness, you can't help but look up at the moon. After middle school, I got by on scholarships and the Vance family support. I hardly ever went home. I spent my holidays working or attending events organized by the foundation. The rare times I did go back, it was for a single night before I left again. My parents never asked how I was doing. I expected nothing from them. Yet somehow, I still expected everything. I wanted their blessing. I took out the gifts. Mom, Dad, this is from Ellie for you. Inside the elegant box was an expensive bottle of wine and a designer scarf. My mom took it and set it aside without a second glance. My dad was more direct. The house is a mess. We didn't have time to clean. Let's just go out. I already picked a place. It's nearby. The food is great. Ellie, ever so gracious, said, Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, please don't go to any trouble. Anything is fine. No trouble at all, my mom said with a smile, though her eyes kept darting toward the door. They wanted us gone as fast as possible. My dad pulled the car up to a restaurant. Here we are. I looked at the sign and froze. It was a greasy spoon diner. I had brought the moon of my life to meet my parents for the first time, and they were treating her to a diner. Ellie saw the look on my face. It's okay, Stephen, she whispered. I don't mind, but I minded. Dad, can we go somewhere else? I said, my voice low. The food's good here. Your mom and I come all the time, he said, completely oblivious. You young people are too picky. As long as it fills you up, right? Besides, it's cheap. Cheap. They could drop $750,000 on their nephews, but wanted to be cheap when meeting their future daughter-in-law. Dad, Mom, Ellie's health isn't the best. Her doctor said she should avoid greasy food. I try to keep my tone even. Oh, honestly, there's nothing wrong with young people, my mom cut me off, annoyed. You only children are so delicate. In our day, we ate whatever we could get, and we turn out fine. She's not sick, she's just spoiled, my dad added. Ellie tugged on my sleeve. Stephen, really, it's fine. But it wasn't. I could understand them giving the buyout money to someone else. I could understand their years of favoritism. I could even understand them giving away all my scholarship money to their precious brothers. But I could not and would not tolerate them expecting the woman I cherish to be understanding alongside me. Sorry, something's come up. We can't stay for dinner, I said, taking Ellie's hand. We'll have to do this another time. My dad's face darkened. What is wrong with you? Have you no respect? No respect. I stopped and looked back at him. Since when have I ever been disrespectful? When have I ever not been the understanding one? Oh, so you think you're a big shot now? My mom's voice rose. You bring a girl home, and suddenly you're too good for your own parents? People were starting to stare. I took a deep breath, forcing down the rage building in my chest. Let's go, Ellie. As soon as we were in the car, I pulled out my phone. Leave group, Hayes family chat. One by one, I went down my contact list and blocked them. Dad, Mom, every last aunt, uncle, and cousin. With every tap of my finger, it felt like I was severing one of the ropes that had bound me for 22 years. As of today, I was done with them. At midnight, an unknown number started calling relentlessly. I kept hitting decline, but it wouldn't stop. Finally, I answered, exasperated. Stephen, why did you block us all? It was Uncle Mike. What is wrong with you, boy? Have you lost your mind? I let out a cold laugh, but said nothing. Your girlfriend is in town, and you don't even bring her to see me? Don't you know to respect your elders? He demanded. Is there something you need? Is there something I need? He sputtered. Your mother is having a panic attack because of you. She couldn't reach you, so she called me. A tidal wave of accusations followed. Now you put us back on your phone, and you call your mother. I have nothing to say to them. Uncle Mike choked, then his voice turned slimy. Is this because your parents gave the buyout money to Jake and Kevin? They're the oldest siblings. It's their job to help the family. What's the big deal? Help the family. I'd heard that phrase my whole life. And every single time, it meant something was being taken from me. You're right, Uncle Mike, I said through gritted teeth. And I'm their son. I brought my girlfriend home because I plan on marrying her. So where's the wedding contribution? Where's the down payment for my house? Where's the new car? Since you're such a respected elder, surely you thought about your nephew's future, right? The line went silent for a few seconds before he exploded. Stephen, have you no shame? You're a grown man, expecting money from a woman's family? Did all that schooling make you stupid? Let me tell you something. A girl who demands that kind of money isn't worth it. I'll set you up with someone better, a nice girl from back home. She's dependable, and her family will even give you a $50,000 dowry. Give a dowry to Kevin, I said. I don't need it. You ungrateful brat. How did your parents raise such a monster? I hung up and blocked the number. A moment later, another unknown number called. This time, it was Uncle Rob. Stephen, you can't treat your parents this way. They worked so hard to raise you. I hung up and blocked him. Then came my aunt, my other aunt, Jake, and Kevin, one after another, as if they'd coordinated it. I blocked them all. A month later, I was in my apartment preparing for my thesis defense when the doorbell rang. 2 police officers were standing outside. We received a call alleging you're being held here against your will. We need to perform a wellness check. I stared for a second, then let out a sharp laugh. Me, a 22-year-old man, 6 feet tall, being held against my will? Who called it in? Your parents. They said they believe you're being controlled by your girlfriend. I took a deep breath. Officers, my fiancé and I are in a normal, loving relationship. There is absolutely no kidnapping or control happening. We understand, sir, but would you mind coming down to the station? Your parents are there, and we need to clear this up in person. When I got to the precinct, my parents were sitting there, looking frantic. The second I walked in, my mom rushed toward me. Stephen, you're finally free. Did that woman hurt you? I took a step back, avoiding her touch. An officer gestured for us to sit down and began the interview. Mr. Hayes, could you please state your relationship with Ms. Eleanor Vance? Legally speaking, we're engaged to be married. And are you being threatened or controlled in any way? No. Then why would your parents? Officer, my dad interrupted. My son has been brainwashed by that woman. She's 10 years older than him. She's an old woman. If she's not holding him hostage, what is it? Is she his sugar mama? My son is a Stanford graduate. Why would he debase himself like this? He thundered, as if he truly believed I was a victim. I looked at him and found the whole situation laughable. Even the police officers were giving my parents looks of contempt. Sir, ma'am, please watch your language, a young female officer said. Your son is a legal adult. He has the right to choose his own partners. Unless you have credible evidence, please refrain from making baseless accusations. Baseless? My mom shrieked. She's obviously taking advantage of him because he's young and naive. Enough. I stood up, my voice ice cold. Livid, they both lunged forward and slapped me. Crack, crack. The 2 slaps echoed through the quiet precinct. Everyone froze. I held my hand to my stinging cheek, but a smile spread across my face. Officers, I'd like to file a report, I said calmly. My parents just assaulted me in a police station. My dad's raised hand froze midair. Stephen, are you crazy? We're your parents. My mom screamed. Yes, you are, I said, looking right at them. But besides putting a roof over my head, you never gave me anything. The only reason I am where I am today is because of the Vance family. What did you say? My scholarships, competition winnings, the grants I received from Stanford. Over the years, that added up to over $100,000, I said, enunciating every word. And you gave every last cent to Uncle Mike and Uncle Rob, didn't you? The color drained from their faces. If you leave me alone, I'm willing to let it go, I continued. But if you insist on making a scene, I will take legal action. I have records of every dollar you took from me. We're your parents. Your money is our money. My mom argued weakly. Legally, as an adult, my income is my own property, I told her. Taking it without my consent is theft. I reached into my bag and pulled out a document. You gave me a surprise when I brought my fiancée home. Today, I'm giving you one. I tossed a marriage certificate onto the table. The embossed gold seal gleamed under the fluorescent lights. My dad's hand trembled as he picked it up. His body went rigid as he read it. You got married without telling us? My mother's voice shook. You could say the Vance family raised me, I said flatly. Since I was 14, the Eleanor Foundation paid for my school, my clothes, my food. As far as I'm concerned, I grew up without parents. She married me with no house, no car, and no ring. She's putting me through my master's and my PhD. I've joined her family. I'm a Vance now. Our children will take her name. Her parents were thrilled. They said they finally have a son. My mom stared blankly, then erupted into a hysterical scream. You have no shame. Becoming a gold digger, a kept man. And what about you? Weren't you willing to bankrupt your own son for the sake of appearances? To be the good brother and the good sister? In that moment, years of buried resentment came roaring to the surface. Do you have any idea what my life has been like? I stared them down, spitting out each word. When Uncle Rob was in debt, you took my college fund to pay off his loan shark. When Uncle Mike got divorced, you took the money from my debate camp and gave it to him. When Jake and Kevin needed private school, I had the highest test scores in my class. My teacher recommended me for the top magnet school in the state, but you said it didn't matter where I went. Later, when I got into that school anyway, you couldn't afford the tuition. It was the Vance family who paid for it. My junior year of high school, I won the national physics competition. I wanted to buy a new laptop for coding. You said Kevin needed it more for his college applications and gave the prize money to him. For 4 years of college, how much scholarship money did I win? I never kept a dime. I sent it all to you. And what did you do with it? You handed it all over to Uncle Rob and Uncle Mike. My voice grew louder, my chest heaving. I thought if I was just good enough, just understanding enough, one day you would finally see me. But what did I get for it? I got you giving away my inheritance without even talking to me. I got you treating my fiancée to a greasy spoon diner. I got you telling the police I'm a sugar baby. Do you even remember that I'm your son? I yelled the last sentence, the words echoing in the sterile room. My parents lowered their heads, but there was no remorse on their faces, only stubborn indignation. We are the oldest brother and the oldest sister, my dad said, looking up, his voice hard. We have our responsibilities. Your Uncle Rob grew up poor. Do you think he'd be where he is today if I hadn't looked out for him? And your Uncle Mike is your mother's only brother. Who else is she supposed to help? Looking at them, I finally understood. In their twisted worldview, their only son didn't even register. All that mattered were their responsibilities, their reputation, and what other people thought. I was nothing. Their money would sooner go to strangers or sit in their own bank account than ever be given to me. I swallowed the rest of the bitter words I wanted to say and pulled another document from my bag. What's this? My dad asked. A declaration of severance, I said. While it's not possible to legally dissolve a blood relationship, this document clarifies the rights and obligations of both parties. From now on, I will provide for your care as required by law. When you reach legal retirement age, I will send you each $500 a month, not a penny less. But beyond that, we have no relationship. My dad read the first few lines and ripped the paper to shreds. The pieces fluttered to the floor. I'm not signing it. You are my son, and you always will be. I looked at the confetti of paper on the ground and smiled. Ripping it up won't change anything. I pulled another identical copy from my bag. I have 99 more. I had 100 copies of this declaration notarized. You can tear one up, and I'll just pull out another. Furthermore, I've already consulted with an attorney. While I can't legally disown you, I can take legal measures to formally define and limit my filial obligations. And don't even think about using this to threaten Ellie or her family. You can't afford a fight with the Vance family's legal team. I looked at them one last time. You chose Jake and Kevin. From now on, your reputation and your family loyalty have nothing to do with me. I just wonder if, on the day your precious nephews throw you out on the street, you'll remember the son you abandoned today. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, I could hear my mother's soul-shattering sobs. But I didn't look back. I knew if I did, my resolve would soften. And I had been soft for 22 years. It was enough. 6. The next 6 months were peaceful. Ellie and I planned our wedding. We set the date for spring. She said she loved that season of renewal and hope. The Vances were wonderful to me. Mr. and Mrs. Vance treated me like their own son. I never knew what it felt like to be part of a real family. Sometimes I wondered what my life would have been like if I had been born a Vance. I probably wouldn't be so tired. I wouldn't have had to be so understanding, to cede everything, to fight so hard to prove I was worthy of love. One afternoon, a call came from a security guard at the Vance estate. "Mr. Hayes, there's a woman at the gate who says she's your mother. She's been kneeling on the driveway for 3 hours." My hand tightened on the phone. 6 months. I thought we would just fade from each other's lives. Ignore her. But, sir, she keeps bowing her head to the ground. Her forehead is bleeding. I closed my eyes. An image flashed in my mind. Me, 6 years old, burning up with a fever. Where's she then? She was running around town, trying to appease Uncle Rob's loan shark. "Let her kneel," I said and hung up. But my phone buzzed again immediately. It was security. His voice was even more strained. "Mr. Hayes, your mother says. She says if you don't come, she's not getting up. She says she'll die here if she has to, but she will see you." I was silent for a few seconds. "I'm on my way." I hung up and leaned against the wall, overcome with a sudden, deep exhaustion. Ellie had wheeled herself over at some point. "Your mom?" she asked softly. "Yeah. Do you want me to come with you?" I wanted to say no, to shield her from it. But the word that came out was yes. The whole way there, I rehearsed how I would act. Cold, angry, indifferent. But when I saw her kneeling there, all my preparation crumbled. She had lost so much weight. 6 months ago, she looked worn out, but she was still a middle-aged woman. Now, her hair was almost completely white. Her body, hunched over on the pavement, looked frail and old. "Stephen," tears streamed down her face the moment she saw me. "Please, you have to save your father." "What happened?" "Your dad. He has cancer. Late-stage stomach cancer. The doctors say he needs surgery, and it's going to cost at least $500,000, she sobbed. "What about the buyout money?" My mom flinched. She looked down, her voice barely a whisper. It's all gone. We used it for the houses for Jake and Kevin. Then asked them for the money. They said they don't have it." A cold laugh escaped my lips. "No money? Jake just bought a new truck last month, and I saw pictures of Kevin on vacation in the Maldives last week." My mom just lowered her head, silent. "I'll go see him." I finally said the words. Not for them, but for me. I didn't want to be branded the ungrateful son who let his father die, and I certainly didn't want this to splash back on Ellie and the Vances. The hospital room was crowded. Uncle Rob's family, Uncle Mike's family, and a few other distant relatives were all there. My dad was lying in the bed, his skin a sickly yellow. He looked like a skeleton. When I walked in, all eyes turned to me. "The money went to Jake and Kevin," I said calmly. "They can pay for it." No one said a word. "Stephen, they really don't have the money," my mom cried. "Then sell the houses." "The houses? They're in the boys' names." I stared at her and started to laugh. "So, you gave them $750,000, and you didn't even keep the deeds in your own names?" Just then, my cousin Jake shot up. "Why should I have to pay?" he yelled, his face beet red. "He's not even my real uncle. Why is his sickness my problem?" Everyone froze. "What did you just say?" My dad struggled to sit up, his arms shaking as he tried to prop himself up. Jake pulled a folder from his bag, strode to the bed, and threw it onto my dad's chest. I said, "You're not my real uncle. That's a DNA test my dad had done. You're not my grandfather's biological son. You were adopted. My dad is his only real son. The money you gave us all these years, that was your choice. You wanted to play the role of the great big brother, fine. But now that you're in trouble, you expect us to pay you back? Dream on." My dad stared at the report, his entire body rigid. His trembling hands picked it up, his lips moving but no words coming out. How can this be?" he murmured. "We should have told you years ago." Uncle Rob's face showed no guilt, only a sense of triumphant relief. "What do you think you are? You're just some farm kid my parents took in. You were brought in to be my playmate, a tool, to carry on the family name. Now you're in trouble, And you want my money? Why? You're not my brother. All that money you gave me over the years? Consider it payment for my parents taking you in. My dad looked at Uncle Rob, the man he had cared for his entire life, the brother he had sacrificed everything for. And that brother was now looking at him with the coldest eyes imaginable, as if he were a stranger, an inconvenient stranger. Rob, you... His voice was a faint whisper. That was then. Uncle Rob sneered. Back then you had money. You could pay my debts and buy my son a house and a car. Now you're a liability. Who's going to claim you now? You think we're family? Family is about blood, and you don't have it. You are nothing. My dad's mouth opened as if to say something, but all that came out was a choked, broken gasp. Then, he coughed up a spray of blood and passed out. As the doctors rushed him to the ICU, I stood outside the closed doors, a storm of emotions churning inside me. My mom had collapsed onto the floor, looking completely lost. How could this happen? How could this happen? She kept repeating. Suddenly, as if remembering something, she shot her head up and looked at me, her eyes wide with terror. Stephen, does that mean am I not my mother's real daughter either? Just then, Ellie pulled a file from her bag and handed it to me. Stephen, this is what I found. I glanced at it and passed it to my mom. It was a private investigator's report. My grandmother had given birth to a daughter. My mother, my grandparents, who desperately wanted a son, had nearly abandoned her. When Uncle Mike was finally born, my mother became the family's unpaid servant. I said, when Grandma gave birth to you, she called you a worthless girl. After Uncle Mike was born, they told you every day that you were your brother's blood bag, born for the sole purpose of taking care of him. Blood bag. My mother started to tremble violently. So my whole life, she couldn't finish, tears rolling down her cheeks. I knelt in front of her. Mom, you and Dad spent your whole lives trying to prove you weren't outsiders. But in the end, you were the biggest outsiders of all. You gave all your love to other people and forgot you had a son. Now you've seen their true colors. Do you finally get it? She didn't answer, just kept crying. Uncle Mike walked over. Sees? My mom's head snapped up. Do you have any idea what I gave up for you? I started working at 15 and sent every penny home so you could go to school. When you got into college, I cried tears of joy. But you? Did you ever once help me? Uncle Mike stared at his feet, speechless. I watched it all unfold, and suddenly I just felt tired. I gave in, but I was done being their blood bag. I can help you, I said, but I'm not paying for it. What do you mean? My mom asked, looking up. I'll help you sue Uncle Rob and Uncle Mike for the return of the money you gave them over the years. My mom was stunned. Under the law, a gift giver can demand the return of the gift if their financial situation deteriorates significantly, I explained. Dad is critically ill. You absolutely meet the criteria. But she hesitated. If we do that, your uncles. At a time like this, you're still worried about what they'll think of you? She lowered her head and said nothing. Fine, I said, turning to leave. Stephen, my mom grabbed my arm. I'll do it. I agree. I brought in the Vance family's legal team. They compiled every bank transfer, every check my parents had ever given to their brothers. The total was staggering. On the day of the hearing, my uncle sat at the defendant's table, looking defiant. Our lawyer presented the evidence. Over the years, the plaintiffs gifted the defendants a sum in excess of $700,000. The plaintiffs are now facing a medical crisis and require these funds for life-saving treatment. My uncle's lawyer shot back. These were voluntary gifts. Correct, our lawyer said. However, the law clearly states that a gift may be revoked when the giver experiences a significant decline in economic standing. The plaintiff's cancer diagnosis and the $500,000 cost of treatment certainly qualify. Furthermore, a gift can be revoked if the recipient seriously harms the giver's rights or dignity. The defendants, upon learning the plaintiff was not their biological brother, publicly humiliated him, causing his condition to worsen. Does that not constitute serious harm? The courtroom was silent. In the end, the judge ruled in our favor. Uncle Rob's family had to return $395,000. Uncle Mike's had to return $380,000. They refused to comply, so the court enforced the judgment, seizing Jake's truck and putting a lien on Kevin's house. They threw tantrums and caused scenes, but in the end, the money was paid. The day the funds came through, my mom found me and handed me a bank card. "Stephen, this money is yours," she said. "We owe it to you." I looked at the card and felt a wave of irony. After searching for this kind of acknowledgement for over 2 decades, now that I had it, it felt hollow. I took the card. "I'll pay for Dad's treatment. That is my responsibility," I said. "But I will never forgive you." "I know," my mom said, her head bowed. "We're not asking for your forgiveness. However," I added after a pause, "if you want to try and earn it, you can get jobs. Both of you. You're in your 50s. It's the perfect time to build a career. After you pay for your living expenses each month, you'll transfer the rest to me." "After all," I said with a thin smile, "I'm married into a wealthy family. It doesn't look good if my own family is broke." My parents nodded eagerly, a flicker of hope returning to their eyes.